am back with another layout. Now this is the start of a new month. I know that I have not finished April's Fooled You. I am aware of that. I do owe you guys at least one more, and it is still sitting over here. I really want to get to it because it's taking up this much space on my desk and it's annoying. I apologize for all the traffic in the back. I have my window open because it is a super hot day. I'm even sleeveless today. Oh my gosh, that's hardly ever happened. I usually always wear a jacket of some sort going on around here. So anyways, what am I going to do for the month of May? Well, Crystal Barrett is hosting a, I don't know if it's a hop or what, but it's a collab with all of us where it is called May I Scraplift You, I believe. I think that's how it goes. I will definitely have, you know, the little icon that shows what it really is, and then I'll remember it for the rest of my life. With that being said, she did put up a whole list of people that we could scrapbook and all that, and then the more I kept thinking about it and the more that I kept going on and on and on, hey, I've got like reflection. Sorry, squirrel. The more that I kept going on and on, I was like, I have a ton of screenshots in my phone that are of layouts that inspired me and that I've wanted to scrap lift for a while. So why don't I do those? Even though she went through all that trouble, especially when I'm the one that complained about it. Sorry, Crystal. It was me, I swear. But I decided to use the ones in my phone rather than her list and then have to go and research some of the folks that I might not be familiar with. So even though I've had like 4 months to do it, yeah, it's all me. So the person that I will be scrap lifting today is right here. It's Laura Alberts. Everybody knows she's here on YouTube. She's on Facebook like every single day posting amazing photos, all that stuff. And actually I had 2 of hers that I wanted to scrap lift, but this is the one that I chose. I decided not to like double up. I thought I would give a shout out to at least all the people that were in my phone feed, you know, in things that I've you know, screenshotted and stuff like that. So please be sure to check out who is going to be on my list for tomorrow. Because it's kind of sort of a secret. Shh, don't tell no one. Anyways, what do I have going on? I have a bunch of stuff. So she's got a really large circle in her photo or in her layout. So I pulled out my handy dandy trusty cutting system. This is the easiest way for me to get, apologize about that. This is the easiest way for me to get a ginormous circle where I want it in my layout. Plus I also get to decide how big or how small I want that circle to go. So I brought out this cutting system right there. Then I also have my 2 photos. Now this is my husband's 57 that he brought home, and it's his project car. And so these are the early, like when we went to go pick it up and brought it home and put it in the garage and all that good jazz. So that is what this is right here. And then I purposely bought, like I don't purposely buy the rest of my supplies. Anyways, this is a 2019 authentique paper. I found it in a little shop up in Twin Falls, and I thought it was perfect. It is called the Mr. Collection. So that's all it is just Mr. And I picked out papers 1 and 5, Mr. 5 and Mr. 1. I love that, you guys. And I picked out these sides. I don't know if it's the A or the B, to be honest. I really don't know the difference. I picked out the 2 sides that I like. I also picked out a cardstock to represent her white space. So she used a white piece of cardstock. I'm going to use this grayish color right here because I don't want it to be crisp and white. I don't plan on using these bright pink flowers or anything like that. Although I did pick out some sort of flower-ish, but they're nowhere, they're like cream based and peachy based. I also picked out these gears from Tim Holtz, just some really thick metal gears that I absolutely love. I got them at Hobby Lobby in my trip to Twin Falls as well, by the way. I also have a couple P13 and Minte papers that are pre-cut from a previous layout. And then these really old, close to my heart numbers that have just been hanging around. They moved from my desk to the industrial box, and now they're back on my desk because I have a 5 and a 7. Ah. And Laura's title on this is really uber small. In fact, I almost missed it thinking it was part of the cluster. So I thought that that was great because all I was going to do was write the 57. So it didn't need to be this big. So I'm going to go and work on this layout and see what I can do. It probably won't be as extravagant as Laura's, but I do really love her style. I love how clean and crisp her layouts really truly are, even though mine aren't like that. I am allowed to enjoy other people's styles like that. And when I scrap lift them, I kind of give it my own style within it. Like it's what... how do I say this? Like, what exactly about her layout did I want to scrap lift? You know, what brought me to this? And is it her clustering? Is it the ginormous circle? Is it the wood grain background? Who knows? Well, I do because I took the picture. But seriously, that's why we scrap lift from others, because they inspired us. It's not I want to mimic theirs exactly, but I am going to give my own little twist and spin to her layout. But I do want to have fun creating with these papers that I purposely bought for this photo series that I have going on. It's not going to be a video series, but I have about 4 or 5 photos of when he first started really working heavily on this, and then unfortunately we had to pack it up and move house, and we haven't had a shop yet for him to be able to pull it out and work on it, so I feel really bad, but we are working on getting him a shop. And in the meantime, he tears apart my house and finds other things that he can build on. Anyways, I'm gonna get going and see what I can do with this layout. All right, let's go. All right, so the first thing that I ended up doing is cutting off a 1/2 inch on both sides of this cardstock. Now, I don't remember exactly the name of this cardstock, but all of my cardstock is by Close to My Heart. It's what I buy for my Cricut. I found that it is the best material to use in my Cricut. It doesn't shred almost like that construction type paper does. I don't know. It seems to me like solid core cardstock does not react very well within a Cricut, and so if I'm going to invest in cardstock, I'd rather not have stashes of multiple brands, and so I just stick with Close to My Heart. Anyways, I cut the cardstock with the blue little blade, and then I cut my gear paper with the red blade, and basically what that did was that gave me a 1/4 inch, a little bit more actually, for the border going around, so I have that little gap. Well, I had no clue, to be honest. I had absolutely no clue how I was going to do this. And I thought that I was going to stitch it in a way that I was stitching the paper to the paper. You know, like the printed paper to the other paper. And so I decided really quickly that, you know, when I put my stitching lines on the gear paper, that I wanted to put some sort of mixed media around my circle, just like Laura did. And by this point, I have not watched her video of how she did it yet. I kind of sort of like to come up with it on my own and then go and watch how she actually did it. So while I'm doing the stitching, I'm actually watching her video to see how she put this layout together. And I'm stitching along and I'm going, really, Laura? That was so much easier than what I did. But thanks anyways. So basically what she did is she created a mixed media background that ended up being like prior use. So she created it before she even knew she was going to make this layout. That's basically what it was. And then she stitched holes on the main cardstock piece, and then she cut a large circle to cover the majority of the mixed media. So yeah, basically she did not do any of this part here. So as soon as I stuck my needle in, I realized the washi tape is not going to hold, so I do need to super glue it in. I did need to glue it in place. So in the 4 spots that there are washi, I do struggle slightly because my paper wants to go behind the cardstock piece,
and that's kind of super annoying. But once it's all done, I just take my finger and flick the string back up above the cardstock, and it's perfectly fine. Not a big deal. It just kind of annoying for like 7 stitches in 4 different spots. So it was only 4 times annoying. So I left this part in, as annoying as it is. I thought that I knew how to do a chain stitch. I had it in my brain and I was like, that doesn't look right. That looks like poo. So I'm quickly researching how to do a chain stitch. Now, this is how I mostly really quickly want to find out how to do things, but I do actually have a stitching book. It's called a stitching encyclopedia, and it shows me all different kinds of stitches that clearly are not for paper, but hey, I still enjoy, you know, doing the stitches and getting the desired effect of the stitches. I did an entire layout based on my stitches about socks, yes. But I did enjoy doing all of the different types of stitches that I learned how to do. I clearly just did not retain any of it. So I am going to quickly cut down my photos and get them all trimmed down so I could put a photo mat around them. It's just going to be a very thin photo mat, but I wanted to you know, make them a little bit smaller so they don't take up most of the circle. And my photos are actually going to be kind of sort of stacked on top of each other and create an L around the circle rather than go straight across like Laura's as well. So yeah. And of course I forgot, I cut it down and then I forget what it is that I cut, and all of a sudden it's like, really? That just does not make any sense whatsoever. So once I figure out the size of my photo mats, I then decide that I am going to ink the edges. It's a very slow process. I'm kind of like, what did I want to do? So yeah, it's one of those things that it's basically, you know, I wanted the crisp edge, but I didn't want the crisp edge. And I'm glad I did actually end up inking the edges on this. Now, I don't like to ink over my project. I know I've said this one time before, but I don't like to ink over my project because of the fact that those little sponge daubers always get, or those little sponge foamy pad things for my ink blending tool, always gets on the project. And when I wipe them off to get them off my project, they always leave a trail of the ink that was on them at one point in time. And it's so uber annoying that I just can't do it. So anywho, I have all my photos done and ready to go. And then of course my camera got knocked and I apologize about that. So this part is a little bit slow. I could have left it all out, but I'm trying just to decide whether or not I wanted my photos to overlap. I don't mind if the license plate isn't showing, you know, not that it needs a license plate, I'm just saying. So yeah, I just am trying to decide if I like that or not, because they don't go across like Laura's does. But I do like the little L that they make. And then I decided that I'm not going to put them on straight either, but that comes a little later. So, and I had to go and get some new foam, which this one actually does have some sticky on it on one side. So that's kind of fun. That's one less thing I have to do. And before I glue my photos down, I remembered I had to glue my large circle down. If I would have glued all the elements to the large circle before gluing it to the background, it would have been hard to do. I am pleased with how my little circle is, you know, how it looks, and I love the shading that the inking allowed, you know, the inking around the outer circle gave me. I don't know how to say it, but I do like that shadow that the string now has, or the stitching now has. So applying my photos now, I did leave a little bit of gap for tucking. Yeah. So, but just putting my photos down, and I do like on the foam side that does not have any adhesive, I do like to put my double-sided tape for instant stick and then my liquid adhesive for a more permanent stick. And when I opened up these gears, I was very impressed with how heavy they were. There's 4 gears, and they are pretty bulky, pretty heavy, and so I opted not to put any more on my layout, even though I contemplate it quite a few times. because I did want more gears. It's just that it's like, gosh, these are just so heavy. I mean, I could have probably put 5 or 6 pieces of cardstock on this layout and they still would have been too heavy. So going through the pre-cut little images that I have, and they were all fussy cut by me or my scan and cut. They're not pre-cut as in they came like this from the factory. No, they did not. But I do love having all of these little elements, you guys. I really, really do. And I just quickly went through and decided what was less feminine than normal. As if that's a thing. I went through and I found all of these like hinge pieces and then time pieces because this is a very old truck. I brought in a watch, I brought in a pocket watch, a an alarm clock, and then I brought in moths, and I actually pulled out the first moth and I giggled, you guys, because I'm like, oh my god. Because, you know, as soon as, you know, like you open up an old trunk, moths fly out and stuff like that. So it just made me giggle. Oh, excuse me. That was rude. I apologize. Oh my goodness. So I took the smaller hinges and I actually cut them in half. I don't know where I disappeared to, you guys, but good thing I did because I had to have a yawn. So I did actually cut the smaller hinges in half and I put 2 on the right side of the large photo and 2 on the left side of the smaller photo. And then I decided I do want a little bit of floral. I didn't want a whole lot, so I'm not looking for the roses or the peachy pink, like really pink flowers either. So I went with these kind of off-white flowers that are like a yellow and off-white. And they definitely were not roses of any kind, and I really enjoyed how they looked, and I feel like that they're still a little masculine in there, kind of. Is that a thing? I think so. And then I decided, you know what, Laura's video was a stick and plonk video, and so I'm gonna try to do that as well. I also have my razor blade out. I promise I don't get injured in this video at all, but I do have my razor blade out because of the inner bits that I did not cut out. I didn't want the pieces to be so weak that they got caught on things and then ripped. So I left them in for when I was ready to use them, and now I'm just taking my X-Acto knife and trimming away the insides so that way it looks like a better image in my opinion. So, and then this is like the weirdest gear ever, but I did want to use it because I'm like, oh, I need more gears. Yes, I do. And then I also pulled out like these weird buttons. I'm not really sure what they are. They almost look like doorknobs, or the little round bits that you see at the, I don't know. I give up. At like the top of the furniture in each corner. That's what they look like. But I really don't know what they're called. But I did pull those out. And by the time that I got done with, you know, putting things where I actually wanted them, I was like, there's just too many round pieces, except for the fact that I really want like gears. I still want gears, but there's too many round pieces. How does that work? So here's the little moth. I giggled again. And then I tried these uber thick gears again, and I was like, they're just too heavy. I can't make them work. I try, but I can't. So I'm going to work on the cluster, and then I'm going to go back to something else, and then I'm going to work back on this cluster. I'm all over the place on this layout, you guys. It's kind of one of those things that, you know, I was like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, but hang on, I've got this in my brain. So stuck a little watch underneath that one, and then I thought I'd try another bracket or hinge, and I didn't like that. So, and then I'm going to cut out this little handle for the alarm clock that I have. And then I'm going to go, see, and I squirrel. I don't even do anything with that alarm clock. Instead, I'm going to squirrel and create another cluster that looks almost identical. I have almost the same pieces as what was in the pre-printed cluster. And so I'm basically trying to recreate that. I have my feather, my leaf, my flowers, my weeds. I don't know what those are. And then I just am trying to glue them together because I want these to be my upper, like, is it upper left? yeah, upper left icon, kind of like what Laura has, but hers was actually touching the circle, and I felt like my large gear and moth were too close to that circle for them to be where hers was. And so here's where I brought out my old bin, from just basically my industrial grunge bin, and I wanted more gears. That's all there was to it. And so I found these 2 coppery gold gears, and I thought, oh, these are perfect. They're not too shiny and in your face. They're not too anything. I also pulled out some paper or some clothespins that I have turned into light bulbs. Now, if you guys are a member of the the Creative Cuts Club, the 15th of this month, I will show you how I created those light bulbs. Yeah, so it is super fun. I did it during a retreat because I had nothing better to do. That's exactly what it was. So I'm popping up this hinge because I want to put this gear underneath it. I think it's just a good little add-in underneath. And then when I stick my cluster, I didn't realize I was so far up, you guys. I apologize. I hope I bring it down sometime before the close-ups, but who knows. But I did think that it was a great little add-in to the flowers and the hinge and all that good stuff. And then I'm adding my pre-made or my little homemade light bulbs. I'm so proud of them, you guys. Like, just, I don't know how my brain works. It's like I see the weirdest stuff. Then I'm adding a smaller little cluster on the left side of the small photo, just because Laura's flower cluster went along the entire bottom portion of her circle and created a little shelf for her photos to sit on. I didn't have that, and oh my goodness. Whew, I apologize. You know what? I have to tell you guys that it is like 11 o'clock my time, and I'm usually in bed by 8, so this is way past my bedtime. Oh my gosh, I couldn't tell you. Anyways, what was I talking about? The shelf on the layout, and I wasn't able to do that because I didn't want my cluster to go any lower than where the photo was, the bottom photo. So created a smaller little cluster on the left to try and complete that shelf and make the photo part of the shelf. So, and then of course I want to use all the rest of these flowers. It's like, what else am I going to put them on, and what else do I have to do with them? Well, I do have another layout, but I think that that's going to go in a totally different direction, just to let you know. But I do have another 57 layout. And so anyways, I can't remember what I was doing there. To be honest, I think what it is I'm fighting with my old computer, and then this is the day that I actually get my new computer. And so I totally freak out and get all excited, and oh, it's amazing. And I think actually that's what I'm doing, is trying to get my new computer to talk to my old computer. So yeah, it's a thing, you guys. They're smarter than we are. So finally committing to that large gear, and I'm putting down the little 57, so that way it's like the title, it's not exactly where I wanted it. And then I'm also trying to figure out where I wanted this third light bulb. I couldn't just leave 2 light bulbs on there, so I've got another light bulb hidden over on the right. I did that probably while I was yawning. But that is it. I'm doing just a small little cleanup before I do my close-ups and decide that is it. Oh, and then I also remembered that Laura put sprinkles down. She also put enamel dots down, and those I could not see in the sketch, but I did notice them in her video. So she actually talks about that's her thing, that's what she does, that's what she's into right now. And so I'm like, oh well, I can't not leave them out, because that's what she is into, and I am scraplifting Laura. I am honoring her for today. So these are just a couple like wood grain enamel dots. They're like the weirdest things ever. I don't even know what they are. They're flat. They're weird. I don't know where I got them. And then some mocha looking enamel dots. I really didn't plan any enamel dots, and so I was kind of struggling of where to put them. So I just decided, oh, that looks good. Here we go. And they also blend in with the ink that I decided to like splatter my page with. And that's it. She is done. Oh my gosh, I am so super stoked with how this like aqua turquoise truck sticks out amongst all of these browns and blacks and grays and all that stuff. It just, I really like it. Thank you so much, Laura, for letting me scrap lift you. I really, really appreciate, you know, all the hard work that you do and everything else. And I will check y'all tomorrow. Bye.